everyone, and welcome to Modular 10, where we're going to discuss another set of ID drawings, which is the furniture plan. And so that is basically taking our base plan or our floor plan, and we will be putting furniture in it. So I'll be going over a PowerPoint presentation, and we're going to discuss today the principles of space planning. That's when you are planning the space by adding in components, whether furniture, case goods, and things of that nature. In this case, we're adding furniture. So let's get to that, and I will put us into my screen. Okay, let's get that launched up right now. I'm trying to get on my PowerPoint. Here it is. Okay, right now we're going to talk about, we're going to start right here, the introduction to ID drawings for furniture plan. Now, last week we talked about interior design drawings and what the ID drawings are, the types of drawings that interior designers create and communicate their design intent. Now, these are not architectural drawings. They're design intent only, and the drawings include these various components. Last week we went over floor plan. Well, this week we're going to go over this space plan, or what we call the furniture plan. Other drawings are RCP, which stands for reflective ceiling plan, elevations, finished flooring plan, details, wall finish plan, art layout plans, presentations, specifications, and general contractor notes. But today we are talking about space plan. So these are what we want to learn. We want you to have understanding of what is a furniture plan. What is it? Identify the key considerations when you are space planning. Know how to add furniture to your plan. Identify the components of a furniture plan. The clarification on traffic flow. One of the most important things when space planning. Space types and social interaction. Furniture placement needs for key rooms, and understanding the meaning for FF&E. FF&E stand for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. It's a term that we use in the industry all the time, and that's something that I procure, meaning purchase and order for my clients. FF&E. It's something that pertains to, once again, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So let's get going. Now, understanding a furniture plan. Here's a furniture plan here showing furniture in that room. Furniture layouts. So to create a basic furniture layout, okay, we're going to talk about that. What are some of the key elements? First, we have to talk, and we've talked a lot about this lately with our social distancing. That is kind of what this is. It's very interesting. This is a diagram talking about human behavior and proxemics. This is even a science, and you really need to understand these three types of spaces. It's ironic right now that all we hear about is the social space. When we're dealing with space planning, we deal with all these spaces. First, it's a personal space. What is that personal space? Personal space comes from really a very close, intimate space, from really 18 inches to 4 feet. When you're really close, 1.5 feet to 4 feet, we call that personal space. You know, when you have a conversation, you hug someone, you're talking intimately. It's between 18 inches and 4 feet. A lot of times people will be like in your face and you're like, oh, you're in my personal space. And we notice that. And different cultures have different ideas of personal space. When someone's just right there in front of you, you really do feel a little bit like they're in my personal space. When you're with your loved ones or family and we're used to being next to each other close, and that's different. So it's also like intimate space, that personal space. Well, the next space comes to our social space, which is what we're talking about now, is social distancing. And now the key, number is 6 feet, right? Well, social distancing is this space. It's between 4 and actually 12 feet. So that's a very social type of a thing. You can still interact with people, but they are within a nice, voice distance. So you can have a conversation. Now, 12 feet gets a little far, but, even that's kind of social when I'm doing a lecture and I'm kind of, or we're across from each other into two sofas, might be 12 feet apart. So that's still social. Now, the final is a public space right here. That's 12 to 30 feet. And rarely do we worry about furniture planning and space planning and have to deal with public spacing. So when we're doing furniture planning, we're basically dealing mainly with your personal and more social space when it comes to space planning in a home. You might have public spacing when you're doing arena or something that you're very far away. But in this case, we deal with mainly the two, personal and social spaces, when we're space planning homes and furnishings. So, what does arranging furniture mean? Well, these are the considerations when you are doing that, arranging furniture. First consideration is the user and the function of the room. So, what is the purpose of the space? Obviously, if a space is being used for a bedroom, it's going to be a lot different than if it's going to be used for a home theater. So you have to really identify the purpose of it. Also, what the FF&E again, you have to consider what about the furniture, fixtures, equipment. You have to say, well, what are these elements that I have to place in the space? A lot of times clients will have existing items such as this. As a restaurant designer, I have to deal a lot with equipment and maybe awkward fixtures. In residential, we deal with more furnishings, but we might have to deal with refrigerations, some kind of televisions, fixtures such as lighting fixtures. Also, one of the main considerations is how much space do you have? The size, the shape of the space. Those things are all going to be the first thing when you look at a space and consider, what do I have to work with, and what components do I have to add to the space, and what is the space used for? Very important. So we often as designers use what we call a little cheat way to do intermediate or quick space planning. You may use graph paper to lay things out. You'll probably do this in your own space planning class, but a lot of times we use graph paper because most space plan is done in a 1/4 inch, just like those floor plans. Space plan is done in the 1/4 inch. So all those templates that we use are also in 1/4 inch so that they're easily able to be space planned into a graph paper. So when you use these little guys, all of our little templates, the furniture one and the door swings, these are in 1/4 inch already. So when you have your little space plan on a graph paper, you can easily use these and they'll be right to scale. So using graph paper is a great way to just do a quick space plan. And for every little square, it's 1 foot. So you may just draft out a room, let's say a living room or something, and you're able to put in the furniture right away using your templates and create a quick little space plan. That's how a lot of designers start out. Now, we are talking about those considerations. You look at a room and you have to ask yourself, who is the user? Is it small children, elderly, adults? Is it a mixture of people? The function and the purpose of the space. And if it's a big bonus room, will it have multiple functions? Maybe an office area, an area for, TV and entertainment. You have to look at the function of the space. Architectural features. Hey, where are the doors? Where are the windows? Where's the fireplace? That's certainly going to affect where you place your furniture or your needed fixtures. Function of the furniture itself. A dining table is not necessarily the best function if you need an office or a desk, right? You want to make sure that you're getting the right function of furniture for the space. You also want to look at visual balance of the space and how placing these items will give a visual balance. And one of the key components is traffic pathway. We need major traffic pathways in a residential, at least 36 inches. So you're looking at the user, the function of the space. Is the furniture itself, is it the right furniture for the right thing? You have to consider your traffic flow and also the balance of the room. So all of these things are in your mind when you start placing this furniture. And so these are the things we look at. So let's consider traffic pathways. Arranging traffic pathways is important. It's important that you have flow in and out of spaces from one room to the next, that you can get from one entry to the next of a space. You want to avoid blocking like passageways and doors. We want to be able to go from one space and walk through a room to another. This is a poor configuration. This is a better one when you can go from one space, walk behind a sofa, and out into another doorway. Here, you're walking right in front of the sofa while people are watching TV. Now, sometimes that can't be avoided, but we want to make sure our major aisles are not walking in front of people. It's annoying. I do a lot of restaurants, and we want to make sure that like you don't have a lot of tables that are in front of a restroom or right in front of the busy kitchen entry. So people back and forth. That can be a problem. So we want to make sure that our traffic flow tries to not impede in that nice personal space and conversation areas. It's very disrupting. So here's a furniture arrangement. This is what we call conversational or nice L shape. What's wonderful about this arrangement is that people can come right into the space. They can go behind the sofa and exit without having to walk right through the conversational area. They also can easily come into the space, and here we can get to both sofas, come around, get to the seat. Also, there is plenty of furniture, lovely end tables so you can set your drink or a book on each side. This little X's, circles, are little symbols for lighting. So let's say you have some nice lights here on the tables. Here is a nice coffee table that this table can reach and set a drink on. And you have to make sure too your coffee tables are not too far away from the sofas so you can reach and put a drink on there or even your feet. Here they have a nice little side conversational area, a little entry chair with its own little table and lighting. This is a great area for reading. More lighting here in the corners, natural light, and this is a fireplace. Let me tell you what fireplaces are. They are natural focal points of a space. Everyone in this room can enjoy the fireplace. With a fireplace, you never want to put furniture blocking it or your back to a fireplace. You always want the viewer or someone sitting in a living room to have a view of the fireplace, whether it's from the side or straight on. But you never want the fireplace behind you. Fireplaces are always a natural focal point, so we never want to hinder their visual effect on a space. So this is great. They've used this space. Some people put TVs right on the top of fireplaces or next to them. Or if you even had an L shape area, you could put a TV on an adjacent wall. So the primary planning, what do you need to think about when you're doing preliminary planning? First thing you want is you kind of experiment with several different layouts. You kind of move pieces of furniture around, kind of shift it or put your template, do different layouts on tracing paper. So I do intend to put these little layouts on the tracing paper. And then I draw the furniture to scale, and then I can move it around the furniture. I utilize center of the room first, and I use some balance for our furniture. So when you start to do different little arrangements, it's kind of great to take your little furniture template, and you might just try do some couple little arrangements on a piece of tracing paper, and you lay it over the flooring plan, and you can move it around and just kind of alternate and see what looks good and does it flow. So that is effective when you start the space plan. It's kind of hit or miss, and you just kind of got to experiment with it. So in our preliminary space plan, that's what we try to do. Now, living spaces, our living rooms. There are three primary seating groups when we're dealing with that. When you're in a living room, you mainly have your major conversational area. That might be a large sectional or two sofas facing each other or adjacent to each other. And that's your main seating. Now, if you have a very small living space, that might be the only type of seating grouping you have. But often you'll have what's called a secondary seating group. And that might be one little chair off to the side, maybe your reading chair with a little a side table, or maybe two seats off to the side. That creates a little bit more of an intimate second seating group. And you also may, if you have a larger living area, maybe a home entertainment area, maybe a separate seating for that, a TV area or a gaming area, or even maybe a little card table where there's just another grouping that you can, entertain in that area. So in living spaces, these are our primary groups you'll see in a living room. Now, major conversation centers. That's that dominant furniture group that we have in our living rooms. Usually it comes with seating with a table. So like a coffee table with a couch. You have to make sure there's certain circulation space between the furnishings. And what's key in conversation centers or areas is conversation areas are usually between 8 to 10 feet apart. And what is that? That's that social distancing. Once we're in a conversational area in a living room, if you get a little bit further than 10 feet, it gets harder to project and have a conversation. You're kind of yelling, So 8 feet is about 2 sofa distance to 10. That's a nice distance. It's social distance. We can communicate. Maybe you have a sofa a little bit closer. So you really don't want to have big spaces between your sofas too much. And it is a challenge when you have these large open rooms, these great rooms with open spaces. We tend to want to, put furniture against walls, but often we have to float this furniture in the middle or group them so they're more intimate for these conversational space plans. So those are guidelines. Make sure you try to stay between 8 and 10 feet when you're putting together your living room furniture. Okay, right here, like it says. Now, we call group arrangements. This is just different ways you can kind of arrange furniture. And sometimes you'll see maybe a straight line grouping. Often you'll see that in a waiting room. You wouldn't usually have that in a nice little living room. You may have, this is more common, where you start to have a sofa and we square it off and maybe a smaller table or a chair. This is for a little bit more of a smaller living room. If you can, this is a great seating area, either an L-shaped sectional or 2 sofas like this. This allows maybe both sofas to view a fireplace or a television on either end. It kind of keeps things open, no one's staring at each other, and allows for a nice coffee table here and just kind of keeps this nice open, easy pathway and entry to them. So here it says 6 to 10 feet typically. See, this is a nice distance. You could do 2 chairs this way. You can have that same L shape, but maybe an extra little chair. In a more larger dining area, you could have 2 sofas, 2 chairs across from each other. You can also do what we call like a U shape with even extra chairs. The key is, once again, maximum 10 feet, is just to have travel room. Also, sometimes you might have what we call conversation. That's where they're facing each other. Maybe there's a television here, 2 end tables. Here they put the tables on the end, maybe a fireplace. Here you even might have circular seating. You'll see this often in like a lobby of a hotel. Um, and even in some cases like this, we tend to use this in more commercial circular groupings. So there's all different kinds. Now, living rooms, and you'll see often a lot more sectionals, which that's what that takes the place of. And they create a great space for maximum seating. In living spaces, see how this plays out. A little love seat, a sofa, 2 end tables with a coffee table, maybe an area rug, and that little secondary seating area. And here we have an entertainment. So what's so beautiful about this space plan is that every person can see the TV and they can also see the fireplace. And that fireplace is a focal point, and this is a secondary focal point. So this is meeting all the criteria: main seating, secondary seating, entertainment area, and 2 focal points that you can see. Also, not a lot of light fixtures here, and it really, does create a nice conversational area. The only problem with it, you have to make sure you get electrical to it because there's no outlets. It's not against the wall. Now, when you go to this space plan, this is very nice. You've got, it anchored against the wall with some natural light. You can also see the fireplace. Everyone can see the fireplace. Little side table. Now, this might impede a little on the entry. A little ottoman, a console, some mirror. So here you enter in. Now, this is a tad tight here, but utilizing walls are often good for electrical. And here they have that nice, perfect little seating. This is a great seating group. Okay, you've got 12 feet total 12. Right here, total 13. So you've got a love seat, your sofa, the end tables, and some extra little chairs here. And everyone has access to that coffee table. So you can see there's different little groupings. Now we are going to use an L-shaped sofa. So that's just like having 2 sofas, together. And what you want to do though with that is you got to make sure you have end tables on each one or a coffee table so people can set down their drink, or you can put a light fixture there. So that's important. So you see, there's not a lot of too many creative options when you're doing your living room. It really makes sense to, either put those sofas face to face in an L shape, maybe extra chairs, and just notice in your own living room how you have your sofa faced. But the key is to make sure that, there's nice flow and you can get to these living spaces. Here's just an example here. Now, some of these are better than others. Here, this is really awkward, right? Because you're walking in here and the sofas are really too far apart from each other, you would have to scream to sit there and have a conversation. So this is not the best choice. Now here, if you come in here, this is a better choice because now the sofas are next to each other. You can go from one area into the next. Here, once again, this is not the best choice. It's got an odd gap between these people. And then this is very far away to see, and you have to kind of yell. So out of these choices, I would say that A is the more successful one. See, in this room, this makes for a lovely conversational. It's a nice sofa. They've got 2 larger chairs, beautiful natural lighting, a coffee table, maybe a smaller chair here, so if you needed extra seating. And this just kind of allows for a little bit of a nice circular flow and a nice conversation. Here's my very favorite. Everyone loves L-shaped sofas. You get maximum seating and a great flop factor is what I call it, where you could chill and lay this way, or you can lay down and liege and lounge. You have a lot of flexibility and you get the maximum seating for the minimal amount of space. You could hug it against a wall or float it. Always nice to have lighting on one side or an end table, and that's a great option. You can use ottomans for extra seating or to put your feet on, as storage, or flip them over and use them as a coffee table. We also have, here they did a no, right? They put the seat behind the fireplace. So I would definitely get rid of that chair and put it over here so that I would have two chairs facing the fireplace, a beautiful sofa, and a little chair with a lounge area to enjoy the heat. So sometimes it's almost nice to look at photos and go, oops, I see something wrong. And a lot of magazines will place furniture in a place where it shouldn't be just to get that photo op. But really, that was a bad space plan. They placed that chair in front of the fireplace, and we don't do that. Okay, that's a no-no. Another living room. Here we go. It's a nice little fireplace. Once again, that's sitting there and should be pulled out. But a nice chair, a nice sofa with with the end tables are great with a coffee table. That's what I want to focus on. Once again, they're doing a no-no with the fireplace. So this is the only thing I would comment on this is I would hug this against the wall, of course. I wouldn't put a foot around there. But sometimes you have combinations of dining rooms and living rooms all in one. So you want to kind of make a separation. A lot of times we do that with maybe an area rug or a nice pendant over here, but it's very common. But the key is to make sure there's enough flow so you can get from one to the other. So in this instant, here's another living room. And this is a great little seating. They've created secondary seating and the main seating area into the breakfast. Nice built-ins. Built-ins are wonderful. They allow for TV units, entertainment units, extra storage. Oops. And then we want to go into our, so that was the main grouping. Secondary seating, sometimes it's planned for maybe 1 to 4 people. It could be separated, it's separated from the major conversation area. Often used, like I said, in larger rooms. Home entertainment centers, those are usually the audio visual equipment, maybe a piano or other instruments. Might be a seating area with a view. So that's what that home entertainment center seating is. Like in this instance, they have this beautiful major grouping, but then they have a little secondary grouping and then a beautiful piano, creating kind of an entertainment secondary type seating area. This is a beautiful arrangement because both these sofas can see the fireplace and the gorgeous grand piano. Now let's talk about dining rooms. You want to make sure you're planning for dining room. What is the adequate elbow room? Well, each diner, I should say, should have at least 24 inches, 2 linear feet per person. We need to make sure that's enough serving space. And we also need a minimum of 3 feet from the edge of the table to the wall, and creating a comfortable conversation area. So when you're dining, you want to make sure that when you sit down in a chair, I'm at my chair, I need 24 inches. Now my shoulders are probably maybe 15 inches. So I need a few inches on each side. So when you have a 6-foot table, well, 6 divided into 2 feet. That could feed 3 or seat 3 people. Because if you have a 6-foot table, 24 inches for the first person, that's 2 feet, another 2 feet for the next person, and 2 feet for the other person. So if I have a 6-foot long table, I could seat 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other, and 1 person on the ends. So a 6-foot long table can theoretically seat a nice grouping of 8 people, 3 on each side, and depending how wide the table is, a person on the end. So you need 2 feet per person. When I do restaurants, I make sure that my little two tops, the tables that are 2 feet, are at least 24 by 24 because you need 12 inches for a plate and you need 24 inches just for a person to sit on the end. So that's how we look at our dining. We all want to make sure. Also, I need 36 inches from the edge of my table to the wall to get my chair out as I push it back. So from the edge of the table to the wall, you want to make sure there's at least 3 feet so that chair can fit in between and you can get out of there. That's no fun to be pinned in a dining room table, right? So that's important. So in a dining situation, like I said, from the edge of the table to the back of the wall, you want to make sure that there's 3 feet. Now, if there's something in the way, you want to make sure from the edge of the table to the credenza that you have at least 3 feet. Here, they have three chairs. So that table has to be at least 6 feet long and probably at least 24 inches to 34 inches wide, another 6 feet long. So this table comfortably sits 8 people. And from the edge of the table to the edge of something hard, you need 3 feet. So from here to here, you need 3 feet. And people can walk around. Very important when you're dealing with dining room. Now, our dining room placement. So where do we put this dining room table? Usually in the center of the room because the dining table is a focal point for a dining table. And that simplifies the serving and it's good traffic flow. So most people will put the dining table right in the center of the room. Makes sense, right? Now sometimes you have to put it against the wall. Maybe it's an architectural built-in feature. Like for my instance, we do settees or booths. They're built into the wall. And that opens up a lot of floor space for a restaurant. But it kind of complicates serving and it's difficult to have traffic flow. So when you see a built-in here, let's say I would do this in a restaurant, but sometimes you see this in dining rooms now in homes. It's, you kind of got to scooch in and scooch out, right? And it saves room, but it doesn't make good traffic flow. Here, a dining table that's in the center of the room makes more sense, right? You can go all the way around. Here, when you have limited space, like in a dining room or a condo or something, you might have to put the table against the wall. But what happens is you lose a seat there. So in this instance, maybe they didn't have enough room for the aisleways, so they had to shove this table against the wall. I do that a lot in restaurants. And you'll see a lot of four-tops along the walls this way. And it helps us to create an aisleway. But you don't see this a lot in dining rooms. Now, the most typical thing you see is a dining table right in the middle of the dining room. And what does this signify? This signifies a hanging light over it. So, hanging light, hanging light. Very important in our reflective ceiling plan that we hang that pendant directly on top and in the center of where the table is. I'm dealing with that right now. Tomorrow I meet an electrician and I know that where the electrical hanging pendant is not going to be right at the center of the dining table. So tomorrow I have to make sure he leaves me enough chain so I could swag a hook and make sure I have options to hang that dining pendant right over the dining table. But that's what that symbol means. And that's important for your reflective ceiling plan, to place that dining pendant right over the dining table. So what do you have to do first? This furniture plan. You got to place the dining table in there so you know where to put your lighting. Yes. So here you go. Perfect example. A nice dining table, lighting fixture. This would look very awkward if it was over here shining on there, right? You have to make sure it's centered. They've got plenty of room behind there too as well. Here's another beautiful dining table with a dining pendant on top and lovely focal point, that fireplace. This is a beautiful cozy room. They've even got a nice area rug to create a border. Be careful with area rugs though, that you make them big enough so that the the ends of your chairs don't get tripped up on it and caught on there. But this is a beautiful focal point and a nice clean room, plenty of traffic flow all around there. Here's another, a radial round table. These are beautiful for conversational pieces. They take up a little more room, but this is beautiful that you can go, flow around here. Got a nice little credenza back here and a beautiful chandelier. Another radial, beautiful a table with a gorgeous round pendant, beautiful kind of radial elements on the ceiling, and it's right there in the center. And that just really creates a beautiful open look for the dining table. This one, gorgeous. It's more formal. They, once again, in the center, a beautiful crystal chandelier right above there. It's nice sometimes to change out your dining tables and chairs and maybe do something a little different on the ends. So to create some variety. So when we're talking about your guys' dining table, you have many options, and we use all these for various restaurants as well. But you've got your little circle tables. This is more of a cocktail size. Something a little larger, 42 to 48 is a little larger and seat larger amounts. And you have even larger 48s, can get up to 6 tables, and then those larger 60-inch tables up to 72. This is more in a very, very large dining. You don't see that too often. Also, a smaller cafe might have a 36-inch table, 42 a little bit bigger. 48 inches is the more norm. When you get in larger tables, 60 and 72, they're larger here. You can seat more people. But most of our dining, that comes in these rectangles. Something a little smaller, 30 by 60, 36 by 72, 46 by 96. And these are creating more space in between. And here we have maybe a little, maybe you might end up having kind of a bar type seating or just a little two tops where you just have a counter type seating. That's what that's for. So here's various shapes and sizes of your typical dining tables. Next, we are going to go to the bedroom. Now I'm focusing on these 3 areas because these are our social spaces. These are the areas that I really want to focus on when you're going to do your dining table area, you're going to space plan your living room, and then the next is your bedrooms. As a designer, these are the main areas of concern when we do residential design. That's why I'm going over these 3 rooms the most. Okay, so the next is the bedroom. So let's take a look at the bedroom. Of course, with the bedroom, we've got a plan for the bed, storage placement, nightstands, always should be near the bed, maybe some seating, and just to make sure that you know this, the bed is always the focal point, just like the fireplace is always the focal point in a living room, the bed is always the focal point in the bedroom. Dining room is the focal point is always the dining table and the lighting. Now make sure once again you've got a circulation path of about 3 feet in your major circulation, just like in the dining area. So 3 feet seems to be the magic number. Now, when you're space planning and putting your furniture plan for a bedroom, you have to make sure that you start by choosing the wall which you're going to put the bed on. You want to make sure you have a nice, good wall. I always try to use a solid wall. I rarely try to put my beds against a window. It impedes on the natural light coming in the room, and some people just don't feel safe having a headboard or a bed against the window, like in case something came crashing through. It's just a feeling of not feeling safe. But sometimes we have no options. Also, place your TV on the opposite wall. You don't want to not be able to see the TV, have it, on the, you want to have the maximum visibility. Bed placed at an angle in the corner, it looks dramatic. It's something that was really trendy, But you can only do this if you have a very large bedroom. It really does take a lot of space. So that's an option, but not optimum. Key thing too is nightstands with drawers and shelves and lamps can be placed at both sides of the bed for visual balance, and they allow storage. So I'm a big believer. You got to have nightstands, and they've got to be next to the bed. Don't put them far away so your water drops and you're trying to reach for your alarm and it spills. You're trying to turn off the light and it knocks over. You need to make sure your nightstands are really hugged to the bed and against the wall. And your bed has to be against a wall. You don't want anything floating. You need to get electrical to that too. So it's also nice to place and make sure there's outlets for your lights and everything is against that wall, right? For your alarm clock, your outlets, maybe your phone charger. So we need those things on that bedroom back wall. So a typical bedroom, you have your bed, nightstands, right? Here they have lighting on each side. This becomes a focal point. Now they do have windows on each side of this particular bed, but the window is not right directly behind the bed. So that is okay. That gets some beautiful natural light. They have some storage like a dresser. In this particular room, it's large enough to have a secondary like seating group. They have a beautiful another focal point with the art here, so you can visually enjoy that. Gorgeous, window treatments all add. So when you see this space, you see it right there. Oops, right there. You see the bed against the wall, nightstands hugged close. Here you don't see it, but a nice dresser, maybe a television there, or a television here. This looks like some kind of armoire, maybe a hidden TV, a nice chaise or reading area, and another dresser. So this is a great master bedroom layout. So here they are floated. They are what I say. Don't do it. Maybe they just decided for the drama, but they have the nightstands. This is what I want to show you that are right next to the bed. Here, which I prefer, is they have an open, beautiful window. Secondary, some seating here. But that gorgeous bed is hugged against the wall, which becomes this beautiful focal point. Lighting on each side. Here they have enough room for a little sofa couch for seating, so you can, put your shoes on and that sort of thing. A little rug, which seems to be wrinkled there. I don't know how dangerous that is. But this is it has some nice accent lighting, so this is a beautiful contemporary bedroom. Here, this is beautiful. They've got some nice textures in this room. Once again, a gorgeous bed up against a wall, nightstands with some lighting, some secondary seating here. Here they actually, this one walks into the master bathroom. So that's a sink over there. But now they have access. They have some room to walk and get to their bed. And that's really gorgeous. A lot of nice textures and color there. Here, they've done something a little different. They have placed this beautiful bedding against the wall with a nightstand here. Here, they have had an armoire or some extra storage, which is going to be difficult for this person on the right. So I'm not a big fan of this layout. I know they did it for a reason to create space and for this photo. But what I do want to say is you can utilize the edge of your bed for chest, for extra storage, maybe putting, some blankets on top, pillows, or a bench. That's nice. There is visual weight here. It's a nice focal point of art. These beautiful things, they actually balance this large piece here. So this is the gorgeous open beams here create a lot of architectural interest and balance from dark here and dark here. So you want to create balance in your bedrooms. Here, this is a great example of something more traditional. A bed, nightstands, the window that brings in natural light, and a little seating group. And one more here. Here, they have created, and they put a little sofa on the end and created a seating group. Apparently, they have enough room. Even adding a beautiful chandelier gives drama to a room. And here's something really kind of interesting, a nice open looking a bed frame with some interesting nightstands. They don't have to be so traditional. This is very eclectic with this uh, wire mesh, very contemporary, a classic chair. And once again, here you've got your nightstands. It's more of an Asian influence with a lower bed. They have a lower drawer here for storage, and night dresser here, and that creates a nice bedroom combination. So you can see there's just a running theme. I mean, bedrooms are kind of straightforward. You got your bed, you got your nightstands, maybe dressers if you can fit in them, maybe a seat where you can read if you're lucky enough. You have to just adjust the scale of the furniture to the room. So that's key. Finally, we're going to get to some of these guidelines just to general furniture arrangement. Thank you for hanging in to me. I know this has been a long video, but rooms need to be livable and efficient, okay? Consider the placement of those windows, doors, and electrical. You don't want to put a big bed frame in front of a door or a window. Place large pieces first. They're always the final, put that sofa in first, the bed in first, the dining table in first. And place that furniture according to function. So the most functional thing goes in first. We don't want maybe some crazy piece of furniture that isn't functional going in first, and then you can't fit in the things you need the most. Consider both the negative and positive space. That means filling in the space, but creating enough empty space to give it balance. You don't want to overcrowd a room. And create those furniture groupings, right? The two sofas or the little two nightstands in a bedroom bedding. Those create groupings. So it makes for a nice little collection. So we kind of reviewed over these things, right? You can answer these to yourself. We can go, it'll be good. Basically, residential floor plans are drawn in what scale? 1/4 inch, of course. We talked about major traffic patterns require this much space. In the very beginning, 3 feet, 36 inches. You need to give yourself some space. Furniture should be arranged around a focal point, a fireplace, a television, a view in the window. You don't want to ever turn your back on furniture on a focal point. The 3 ways we can balance a major conversational areas. You could put a sofa to a sofa. You could put 2 chairs in a sofa, and you can create a balance by mirroring one another, negative and positive space. Major conversation areas should be planned. How many feet? We talk between 8 to 10 feet away. They should never be more than 10 feet. So 8 to 10 feet is our major conversational areas. There's different types of grouping. There's L shape, there's conversational grouping, there's linear grouping, there's circular grouping. You can go back to that, but kind of, review those. 3 methods of placing dining room tables together. The main one is in the center of the room. You could put it against the wall, they said, or built in as a built-in. So either against a wall, in the middle, or built in. And then plan for at least how many people per person at a dining table? 2 feet. Remember, I need 2 feet of space. Okay, just wrapping up. So guidelines to these arrangements is, does it meet the user's needs? Function and purpose of the space, what's it used for? Providing adequate traffic flow. Functional design of the space. Where are the outlets? Where are the windows, the doors? Is there adequate lighting? Consider the size of the space, the scale of the furniture is appropriate. Combine various shapes of furniture for interest. Balance the space and don't overcrowd the furniture. Find a focal point and emphasize it. Okay, so we're down to our final thing. So here we have a beautiful space. You walk in, they've got two pieces of furniture, in a focal point, coffee table, end tables, just a lovely bed, end tables, a dresser. Here's two small beds. So there you have it. Space planning. When you get into your space planning, you're going to consider a lot more factors, and this is when you advance. But there are more things to consider. I don't want to overwhelm you, but just knowing where air conditioning ducts are, quality of the materials you're using, is it sustainable, codes, lighting. We like to talk about indoor outdoor relationships and different functions of the home. Zoning, you've got your social spaces that we talked about today: living room, family room, dining room, bonus rooms. We also talked about some private rooms like bedrooms and restrooms. We haven't really talked about workrooms, but kitchens, laundry rooms, and gyms are working areas. And sometimes you may have zone and zone spaces where you combine things like an office and a bedroom, and transition spaces like hallways, entries, and stairs. This is when we start to get into the introduction of space planning. So as you can see, there's a lot of furniture arrangement, but as you partake in putting your furniture in your dining area, your living area, and your bedrooms, just keep in mind all these little tips and your focal point. So our next part of the second part of this lecture will be the video recorded lecture. There's 3 short little videos of just how to space plan these areas. So I'll see you then when we and part 2 of the demo or the lectures with a little video. So take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.